Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DreamCatcher webinar series. My name is Dinora Gonzalez, and I am the project manager from Project DreamCatcher. The Freeport McMoran Foundation created this program in partnership with Thunderbird for Good. DreamCatcher is a free business training for Native American women entrepreneurs. And we host selected participants for all these nations with training in the Thunderbird campus. Since this is not happening right now, we're trying to do webinars to keep you engaged and to keep the training going. And today we are super happy that we're going to have Rebecca Wagner, that she's kind enough to give us her time. And she is with the Soul Geo. This is a consulting agency that brings high energy, practical, action-oriented approach to helping a small business like the ones that we have at DreamCatcher. Thank you so much for being here today, Rebecca, and please start your presentation.
Okay, well, hello everyone. It's very nice to be here. I'm going to share my screen and show my presentation. So, and I also want to open the chat so that I can see. Dinora is going to help me with the chat in case I miss somebody's comment. I do want this to be a conversation among us, and we do have a couple of breakout sessions. But if the group stays this size, I don't know, Dinora, if you think we should just keep one group and have one discussion, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
So I think if we'll, unless a bunch more people jump into the call, we'll just do it that way, and then that's nice as well. So what we're going to talk about today is understanding and managing change in challenging times. We know that these are very challenging times, of course. And I also want to say that a lot of the content that I'm going to share and the discussion that we're going to have today, I've been teaching leaders this same content for several years. So right now we all happen to be dealing with a very significant change that's affecting our entire planet. And then in our country, a lot of the protesting and the increasing awareness about racial injustice and that kind of thing, that's another thing that's happening. But again, 5 years ago or 1 year ago, this still was the same content, the same information that is helpful for all of us. So just to put that into context. All right. So what I'd like to do now is just do a little warm up. And so let's have everybody, you can either take yourself off mute and share verbally, or you can put something in the chat, but just share 1 to 3 words that describe how you're feeling about things that are happening right now, the changes that we are facing right now. So just what are 3 words, 1 to 3 words that describe?
Valentina, would you like to share with us?
Opportunity to bless. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Great. What else? Can they unmute themselves, Dinora, since?
No, I think.
So, fear of the unknown. Yes. Very common. We'll talk about that. Getting ready for change. All right. Oh my gosh. See, what you're all describing is the change cycle, different parts of the change cycle that we're going to talk about. All right. Getting ready for change. Yeah. What else? Just 1 or 2 more. Accepting the unknown. Thank you, Bridget. Yeah. Accepting the unknown. It is a bit of a mindset shift, isn't it? When we think about how much control we have or don't have. And now with everything that's happening in the world, especially with this virus, you know, we really don't, there are some things we can control. We'll talk about that. But if we get to the point where we can accept it, it does give us more peace. Easier said than done sometimes. All right. Well, if anybody has anything else they want to add in, we'll come back to it. But I'll move forward. Mm-hmm. So this is what we're going to talk about in the next 45 minutes or so. We're just going to touch briefly on why is change hard. And again, this is any change that might be happening for somebody in their life. We talked about people moving from one state to another, all kinds of changes. So this conversation will be kind of general, and then we will come back to how can we better deal with this change, the changes that we're all experiencing as a society and as a planet now. But in general, why is it hard for humans? We'll touch on that a little bit. We'll talk about the change cycle and kind of how humans tend to get through change. There are some common steps that we need to take. And when we understand those, it can help us feel more at peace about how we are responding, instead of like, what's wrong with me? It's like, no, this is normal. This is natural. You're fine. You know, this is just what we have to do. And it kind of gives us a little bit more ability to accept what is happening to us. Then we're going to do a little breakout session. We'll just do a group discussion about how each of us, whoever wants to share, how are you experiencing the changes that we are experiencing, and where might you be in that cycle? And we'll just have a little discussion about that. Then we'll talk about how can we build resilience. And I first want to ask the group, what are you already doing here? Because I know that there are people on this call that already are being very successful in some ways, or maybe some days we feel more successful than other days. But to have you share advice and tips with each other. And then I have a few ideas to share. And then we'll shift into our last topic really is about how can you, and the particular emphasis here will be on, for you as leaders, business owners, you've got employees, you've got staff, how can you help others navigate through change more effectively? So we'll touch on that a little bit. And again, you can share ideas with each other, and then we'll have a little breakout. So that's our plan for the time that we have together. So why is change hard? Most humans seek the status quo. We seek kind of that steady state. When things are, of course, there's differences between different humans, and the same human is going to respond differently to different changes, right? It's a very complicated and personal experience. And there are some commonalities that we have. And when we've got things that are a little bit more predictable, we have a routine, it takes less energy. When there's a change introduced, it requires mental energy, sometimes physical energy, emotional energy, and the uncertainty, right, that Valentina mentioned, that fear of the unknown, that uncertainty, it is draining for us. The stress, all that stuff takes energy. So when things are a little bit more predictable, you know, we kind of know what to expect, and then we conserve our energy. So that is one of the reasons that humans in general, to some extent, struggle with change, even chosen change, even change that we have chosen, right? Those of you who have businesses, you know, I would imagine that was a choice, that you chose that. Now, sometimes people don't have many options, so that's what they're going to do. I'm just going to go into business for myself. But for many people, it might have been a dream for many years to start your own business. And even that, there are difficulties involved in that. There are things that we give up, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. I already talked about a response to change is very personal, and it's very normal. So does this make sense to people?
Yes.
Yeah, people can relate to that? Yeah, okay. So this is the change cycle. And this is adapted from a model by William Bridges on human transitions. And so it's called the Bridges model. And this has been around for decades. So it's really kind of there are many good change models out there, by the way. And if you Google it, you see many different really good models. But this is one that's quite easy to relate to for most of us. And so I like to share it with people because it kind of makes intuitive sense. So the first thing that happens when there is change is that we have to let go of what we knew. We have to let go of what we, the former state, right? And this can cause emotion. And a lot of different emotions. It can cause sadness and anger and fear because we're just not sure. And this is something, again, that happens even when we have chosen a change. So I like to use the example of, well, let's just use the example of starting a business, and assume that this was something that you chose. What were some things that or what are some things that you have given up or had to let go of as a result of taking this step of opening a business? Just put it in the chat or share verbally. I can guess. I actually am starting my own business too. That's my Solgeo is my business. But what are some things that you had to let go of? I'll say one that I had to let go of: a steady paycheck, right? I was getting a paycheck every 2 weeks when I worked in the corporate environment. And that is so not the situation now, right? So
Yeah.
Reasonable hours, beautiful. Free time, yes. When you have your own business, it is like a 24/7 thing, right? My dad ran a small business for many, many years as I was growing up, and I worked in the business, and he worked so many hours. Yeah. And when you work if you're in a corporation, you do work a more of a set schedule, Winona, exactly, so yeah, even if you have chosen it, we still have to let go of things, right? And knowing that just helps us understand, instead of thinking, if we're sad about these things that we've let go of, it's like, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe this was a bad decision. It's like, no, this is the right decision. And I am acknowledging that I had to let go of these things, right? And that just helps us be more at peace with the emotion that we're experiencing. Okay. So that's an important part. Transitioning is when we're kind of in the middle, right? We're not really there yet and into the future state, but so maybe you have left your other job where you had reasonable hours and weekends free, for example, in your set schedule, and now you're kind of starting your own business. You're not really there yet, but you're in that kind of messy. A great metaphor for this is moving. You have where you used to live, everything is put away, you've got cupboards and you know where everything is, it's all organized. And then it all gets put in boxes and it's in your truck or it's in a moving van or something. And that's the transition, right? It's very uncomfortable. There's a lot of uncertainty. You can't find your coffee pot, right? You can't find it. You don't know where anything is. And then the new beginnings is now you're settled in your new home. Right. And even if you really wanted this move and it was something you really were to have more space or a better school district or whatever were the reasons, but you still had to let go of those things in your old neighborhood, didn't you? You had to let go of your neighbors. You had to let go of memories. Right. So that's another good metaphor. And that transitioning is where it's just very chaotic and right. And I think that with the current situation that we're in, we're still in kind of, we don't really know what our post-COVID world is going to be. I'm sorry, I can't remember who was speaking. Oh, was it the person who's on the phone? I can't remember your name. I'm sorry. You were talking about your oh, was it Winona? Your construction business? Yes, it was Winona. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were saying, it's like, yeah, our revenue is down and we only have one job at a time instead of, so you're kind of in that messy middle still. And that eventually we will get to our new normal, whatever that is. And hopefully you will regain that business back. But, so transitioning is uncomfortable. And in this case, our transition period is pretty long, I think, for this COVID thing. And new beginnings is where hope and optimism come back. And I love, Norma, getting ready for change. And another person had said, the first comment, opportunity to bless. So Anita and Norma, you're both maybe already kind of toward that new beginnings. And everybody goes through it at their own rate, right? And we also might go back and get more negative for a while before we come forward. So, but confidence and productivity come back once we kind of figure things out. So this is just the way change is. So before we start our group discussion, any questions or comments on this?
We have Jacqueline with us.
Okay.
Like more people is joining. Thank you.
More people have joined. What do you think? Oh, Juliet is back.
Yeah,
Good. Good. Welcome back, Juliet.
a little late.
What do you think, Denora? Should we do just one group discussion?
Yeah, that one would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to, here's what I would like us to do is just to share some way that this change is affecting you, or maybe it's a different change. And where are you in the cycle of, are you still letting go of things? Do you think you're in transitioning, or are you in new beginnings? So that's what we want our discussion to be. So I'll put this slide back up.
I'm new in the beginning.
Are you? So help us understand what that's like for you. Is that Juliet? Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you experiencing new beginnings, Juliet?
Because all of my savings gone and I'm broke as of now. That's why this COVID time.
Yeah. 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 And so you're also letting go of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Letting go of having some money in the bank. That's security. That's hard.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, Colleen, you want to share how you're dealing with, in what part of the cycle you are in change?
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Ahosteen. I'm the owner of I Need Sugar Cake Specialty Shop in Gallup, New Mexico. I'm sorry, I missed your first part. I was trying to log in and it was just giving me a hard time. I'm in the, when it first came, I was in freak out mode, like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? What are we gonna do? Who do I talk to? Do I call the city? Where do I look? Do I shut down? What's going on? And I had to revert back to my, okay, well, you're the mom, you're the mom, you're the business owner, you can shut down, So I did, and that's what happened. And I kind of just tried to listen out to what was going on. And eventually, maybe a week later, I came back because I couldn't stay closed. And I was watching the governor and standards and regulations, and I kind of just kept taking. I still had cake orders, $200, $300 cake orders. So I still continued. It's just that I closed my doors and let people know, you can still get your cake. We can still do this, but that's up to you. If you can't, then we'll have to just do a credit or reschedule or whatever. So most people did get their stuff. Some people rescheduled. But thankfully, I was able to continue without closing too long. Yeah. And then right now it has been steady, but a lot of people went from big cakes to, I got a lot of orders for personalized, really extravagant cakes because they could no longer do the big cakes, the 3-tier whatever cakes, but they wanted their daughter or their son or their significant other to get that specialty cake. So they didn't mind paying what we charge. They just wanted to be really nice because of how COVID had locked everybody down. They still wanted that event to be special for them. So we went to that. And then thankfully I've just been changing. I mean, it's hard, but I just had to adapt to how, look at it on the other side, and put myself in their position and try and communicate socially on social media, letting people know, where we're at, what we're doing, that we're still opening the doors, but we are taking our precautions. We are required for you to wear your mask before you come into the store. If possible, we can, deliver to you outside, or we have a set up area. If you come in, your stuff will be at the table over there. Just sign the receipts and we'll pick it up later. So we are trying to follow all the standards. We also have something called our Navajo Tea Time, which we have to now do virtually. And usually it's a specialty speaker, special guest, and Father's Day went very well. Everybody went really good. I was really happy with it. And we're just trying to highlight some of the people that, you know, make a difference in our community. This next coming 2 weeks, we're going to have another guest. They're called the Water Warriors, I think. So we're going to have them as guests and how they're helping the community. So we're just moving with the punches. And we've been doing a lot of online classes where we just show for free. We usually charge for these things. So for free, we've been doing our online classes, like how to make a cake, how to make your cake from scratch, how to decorate your cookies, how to do cupcakes. So we've been doing that via Zoom. So yeah, it's hard, but now it's just I have to be in multiple places, you know, at different times, and it takes so much time, more time to actually get this stuff out. The next thing I have to concentrate on is just my my website, and I haven't had a chance to do that.
Well, it sounds like you are in new beginnings to me, that you have accepted this and you've let go of the way things used to be. And, you know, I'm sure it was really hard and sad and scary and all those things. And there was a lot of uncertainty, but it sounds like you are out of the transitioning phase and you are in new beginnings. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, I have to now probably look at my business plan, and this isn't going to be the first time, you know. There's going to be something where I have to kind of, this is just the exposure, the beginning, and then so now I have to start looking at how I'm going to still service my customers if this were to happen again, you know, and adapt to technology and get that out there so that the next time it's just like, okay, now we got to go revert back to what had already happened. Now it should be easier. Now, you know, the only thing is that I'm the only one here. So a lot of my employees, they just don't want to come in, you know, they don't want to be exposed. So, you know, it's not like we have a lot of traffic here. And I am taking additional precautions, but at the same time, you know, I think they just don't want to deal with it too, which I can understand. Which I'm not forcing anybody to come in if they don't want to, you know.
Right. All right. Thank you for sharing.
But this is where I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, okay, is it even worth having a business right now? You know, is it, you know. How do I say it? Is it worth it to have to go through this? And there's a lot of people out there that, as much, how do I say it? As much money as we get, even with the small business, we're paying a lot of liabilities. You know, we're putting ourselves at a lot of risks here, and a lot of the time, I think for me, when I think about it, is it even worth it? And that's my struggle right now.
Yeah. So possibly another big change coming for you.
Possibly, yes.
As you decide. Yeah, that's big.
But
decisions.
I still have 2 years here, so.
Okay.
So you're
going to hang in there for a while. All right.
Yeah,
great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We have a comment from Valentina.
Oh, yes. I am currently being innovative by producing a new product to sell. Cool. And Valentina, what is your business that are currently in demand?
I'm currently, I make couture fashion. So, and I usually do like pop-up shops and I travel to different locations, but ever since this happened, all of that stopped, all my shows canceled, but I currently produce masks now. And and it's been keeping me in business and keeping me busy. I'm like working 15-hour days or more just to fill the orders that are coming in. I'm thankful that this was something that opened up for me to do and to provide to the community. I also I also give back to the community with the with producing masks and giving them to certain organizations that are in need too at the same time. So I take a portion of what I make, and then I also utilize that to, you know, to give back also at this time of
That's
this
beautiful.
pandemic.
And
So-
I would like to comment on something you said, and I think it was lovely the way you said it, but I want to make sure you're giving credit to yourself, because you were making it sound like, you know, I'm just grateful that this came to me, but take some credit for that you saw the opportunity to do the masks and that you grabbed hold of that. That's being a really good entrepreneur. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
I just encourage you to just pat yourself on the back a little bit there.
Yes, because I was worried. I was like totally worried because everything just stopped. Everything came to a standstill. We generate clothing by seasons, and then that all just came to a halting stop. And it was like, what am I going to do now? Where am I going to generate money to where I don't have to touch my savings? And that when I saw the need, there was a need. And then of course the CDC recommended that, you know, cloth masks are also something that you should wear. So just jumped right on that and put that product out there. And that's keeping me in the business afloat, as if we never stopped producing clothing.
That's just brilliant. Bravo. That's great. All right. Well, I'm going to move us ahead and we'll talk about resilience, and we'll have another group discussion about what are some ways. And we've touched a little bit on them, but I think that will be good discussion for the group. So how are you staying resilient, besides like what Valentina was saying about seeing the opportunity and going for it, and the same with Winona about you know, how can we, and then somebody else had shared, I don't see the, Jacqueline, I think, yeah, your comments about making a shift in the, you know, from the big cakes for large gatherings to the smaller, more, you know, but what are you doing for yourselves? Let's talk about kind of our emotional well-being, and, you know, what are you doing to take care of yourselves and to get through this? Give each other advice. That was a heavy sigh.
This is Jackie. So before the pandemic, thankfully, my husband and I were big weightlifters until we started the business. Then the business kind of took over our lives. But thankfully, he continued to get our gym ready at the house. So we just kind of transitioned into our gym at home, you know.
Great.
So we
Working
have the
out.
treadmill, we have our weights and everything.
That's
But
beautiful.
I think just the baking is healing enough. Sometimes it's stressful, but weirdly, strangely, it is kind of healing as well.
Oh yeah, no, I can see that.
But we take
That's
walks,
pretty
you
cool.
know, we take walks regularly.
So being out in nature, physical exercise. Anita says, taking time to pray, cry, and cherish my weekends. Beautiful. And I love what you say there, Anita, about it's okay to cry. You know, this is what talked about letting go and acknowledging the emotion. And if we fight the emotion and we say, I have so much to be grateful for, why am I sad? No, I am sad. And then we release it and it's healthy. So that's beautiful. And cherish your weekends. Yes, appreciating. Gratitude is a very, very powerful, positive force. Great. What else? What other ways are you coping and being resilient?
Winona, you want to share?
Yeah, this is Winona.
Okay.
What we started doing since we pretty much got shut down is that I set up a schedule for our own family, you know, to continue our routine. So instead of us getting up and going to work, you know, we had a set schedule for when we're going to be doing educational stuff like reading or writing. We also discussed about starting our books, our own books about our lives and experiences that we've had. We have kind of a small family. There's 4 of us. So that was the plan. And then when we prepare meals, I mean, we had to go way down to basic. Like get up in the morning, what time we're gonna feed our animals, you know, what time we're gonna exercise, doing that educational stuff. After we have lunch, then we play games. We went back to our board games, of course, and our card games. And I had to set up a schedule so that we have a direction, because it's real easy to get caught up in craziness, you know, in mental stability or instability, I should say. And so along with that is we also discussed about having our own, you know, sometimes they say you can't do therapy within your family, you know, because there could be old things that come up. But it's really important to maintain that, especially if you can't go out to go talk with somebody, or you can't go out to a meeting or a group, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So that's how we, it's really important that we had to do that so that we could maintain our sanity in order to see other stuff, the future. You know, what are we going to do next? How is, what is the business going to look like? What is school going to look like? What is our family going to look like? You know, and so we're very, that was how we have been surviving.
That's great.
And yeah, and it's been really helpful, because, you know, when we don't have those basic needs taken care of, you know, it's real easy to get lost and, you know, start declining mentally, spiritually, physically, I mean, everything. And yet there's no way you can finish school, start school, work your business, you know, even get up in the morning if you're not okay.
Right.
And so, that's how we were doing it.
That's great. So many great ideas in there. And then we also have, Norma shared lots of praying and trust that everything will go back to a new normal. Long walks with your dog, singing and dancing. Singing raises our vibration and raises us to a higher energy, which is something I think is fascinating. And dancing, physical movement, getting into the music. And then Indira, after the kids go to bed, I have me time. Awesome. Listen to audiobooks and watch movies. That's great. That self-care, you know, it's the classic, we have to put our own oxygen mask on first before we help others. And so if we're deprived of oxygen, whatever that might mean, it's, to your point, Winona, it's, and also Indira, what you're sharing. So that's fantastic that you guys get that. Is there any other ideas? And then I have a few to share that some have already been touched on, but.
I'll share my idea.
Okay.
I don't have little ones at home anymore, so it's just me and my partner. So it is kind of lonely, but we were pretty fortunate to be able to get a doggy towards the beginning of the quarantine. So he has definitely made a big difference. And in addition to that, I've never been a big a person of attending the gym too much, but I do like exercising. And then with the whole situation of COVID, where they were saying that it's okay to be outdoors, no, it's not okay to be outdoors, just back and forth. I saw myself not doing as much exercise as I was before. So I kind of assigned a place in my garage where I exercise now. And I'm trying to do this every day. And that just helps me with staying motivated and just taking care of me.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah, exercise is one of those really important things. And Sandra said, I love to wake up early and go on a hike. Practicing gratitude. Oh, yeah, that also brings us to a higher vibration. Those are great. Oh, you don't need me. You've got this. Wow, this is awesome. You all should be teaching this.
We're still not okay 100%. We still
I know. No, it's so true, Miriam. And I think that's and that's one of my points on my next slide. I'm just going to jump to that. I'm going to, we'll touch a little bit on some of the others, but I just want to highlight this last one. Treating yourself and others with kindness and compassion, right? So if I need to cry, I'm going to cry. It's okay. I'm going to be empathetic with myself. I'm going to be kind to myself and have compassion for myself as well as others. You know, sometimes some people might be quarantined with people that maybe are a little challenging, a little bit more negative. They try to be positive, and this other person, you know, how do you, and being intentional, I think, about how do I want to show up in this time so that 5 years down the road or at the end of my life, whenever I look back on this challenging time and I feel proud of how I showed up. I showed up as my best self. And we are not going to hit that every day, right? There is no way. We are all works in progress, but it's nice to aspire to it, I think. And it calls forth, you know, our better angels, if we think of it this way. So just a couple of other things here. Accepting that change is part of life. There is never a time when things aren't changing. It's just sometimes there are huge changes that affect all of us in big ways, and other times the changes are much more subtle and small. But if we shift into a mindset of accepting and understanding that change is unending and it always will be, then we're like, okay, you know, it's kind of what somebody had said at the beginning. It's just accepting the uncertainty, right? Control is a big thing, right? And so focusing on what we can control is huge. And so I like to ask, I'm a coach too, and I sometimes I work with clients who are struggling. They just feel like everything, and this is even before COVID, but just, you know, I feel like a victim, and I you know, there's nothing, it's like, so I ask them, what % control do you feel you have in this situation? You know, and sometimes the answer comes back, let's say 10%. I have 10% control. Okay, what are you going to do with that 10%? What can you do with whatever that percent is? Maybe it's 50%, maybe it's 1%, but what can you do? And even thinking of it that way kind of brings peace, because it's like, oh, I've been all stressed out and I only have 10% of control here. So that kind of allows me to accept that uncertainty a little bit more and accept that. And then now I'm really going to focus on what can I do? And you all have had great examples of in your businesses, what you have been doing. So that's just kind of a nice mental thought. You guys talked about taking care of yourself physically. Sleep is so important. We talked about exercise, but just want to always put a plug in, and many of you may be aware that increasingly study after study after study after study shows the importance of sleep for our mood and our health and our weight and all kinds of things. So don't underestimate that. Seeing things as an opportunity to learn, right? That can be really, really huge. Jackie, I think you talked about the baking business, right? You know, it sounds like you were doing the fancy cakes before, but maybe now that you're really focusing that more than on the 3-tier, it really can be something that, oh, I'm going to really take this to the next level. So seeing it as an opportunity to learn new things. I know somebody else had a good example, but it's not popping in my head. Staying connected, discussing your concerns with someone who cares. And even if, Miriam, I think you said, you know, you can't go out and go to a meeting or something, but you can hopefully connect on Zoom or on a phone call, FaceTime, and still have those conversations and ask for support. You know, if you have somebody that is trusted, a family member, a friend, significant other, I am really struggling right now and I just need somebody to listen. We talked about the importance of letting go. And a lot of times people need to process that verbally. What am I losing here? And once I've said it out loud to somebody who cares, it's a little easier for me to move on and really let that go. But if I'm fighting it, then it kind of stays there. Taking action where you can, we talked about that a little bit. Take advantage of available resources. I don't need to say much more about this, but you know, just finding out what is around for me. Is there somebody I can talk to? Is there some support that I can take advantage of that maybe in the past you didn't? And then we already talked about treating ourselves with kindness and compassion. So what other thoughts come to mind as we discuss all these options?
We have Yoma. Yoma, are you there? She just started her own a new business, and I want to ask you how you building resilience with the change and being at home and with the kids.
Hi, everybody. I'm Yoma Villalobos, and thank you, Dinora, for inviting me today. So I did start a new little project. Like it's a new business. You can do it from home. And I think it's really important when with me building resilience, especially during this time, is being passionate about what you're selling or what you're offering your customer or your people, because I really believe in the product that I'm selling. Therefore, when I try to promote it or I try to market it, I try to explain others about it, I do it with a lot of heart, with a lot of passion, because I believe in it. And I think that's a way of me building that resilience, because before all of this happened, I used to be a very upbeat person, you know, very positive. And then like COVID hit and we got like stuck working from home, and my mood just went rock bottom. Like I was just like in a funk. And thankfully, like this, because I believe in the product that I started selling, because I'm passionate about it, I think that has helped me a lot.
Great. And it sounds like because you believe in it, Yoma, you feel that it's maybe part of your purpose to bring this product to other people. And so focusing on others and serving others and helping others can really also help lift our mood and make us feel like we're having a positive impact. And that gets almost everybody to a happier place.
Definitely. And that's my biggest purpose right now too, like helping others. And that brings me so much joy, and I think it builds that resilience as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So I just have one more slide and then we have a little more time to chat. And this is really for you as business owners, for those of you that have employees. And I know some people, like Jackie, you were saying your employees are not really coming to work right now. So maybe this will be, hopefully in the future, not too distant future, they'll be back. So, but this is really kind of how can you help others build their resilience and get through change. So I'll quickly go through this and then we'll have a few more minutes to talk. And actually this applies, a lot of this applies even if you have a friend or a family member who's also struggling this is ways that you can, this is some ways that you can help them. But just listening is great. It's such a gift for if somebody is truly listened to and heard and seen, that is a real gift that you can give. And that can help people kind of understand what they're struggling with and get through the change and understand, just get to a better place. So listening is a big gift. Allowing the emotion. Many people, and this is all women on this in this group, so I dare I say that women kind of, we want to comfort others, many of us. So if somebody is crying, we sometimes are, oh, that's okay, don't cry, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. And try to get them to feel better. But sometimes the biggest gift we can give them is to just let them cry, right? And just to give them their space and to say something like, I'm here, or this is hard. You know, but instead of trying to make them feel better, right? Just allow whatever the emotion is, just allow it and be there with them. So just being with them in that space can really be helpful. Acknowledge what is being lost. This is really hard for you, this change, you know, and just say it out loud so that you see me, you hear me, right? So now this is a little bit more about as leaders, those of you who have employees in your business, emphasize what's not changing, right? Okay, yes, a lot has changed. We no longer can fill up our restaurant with people or whatever the case may be. But what we're not going to change is we're not going to change making really high quality, healthy, delicious food for people. We're not going to change that. We're going to still serve our customers. It's going to be a little different, but this is what's not changing, right? So whatever that means for your business, that can help people go, oh yeah, not everything is changing. We're okay. Providing information, providing as much information as possible is really important as a leader. Giving clear next steps. We don't know what's going to happen in a month, but right now, today, here's what we're going to do, right? We're going to set these things up. We're going to serve these customers, right? And just be really clear about what the next steps are. You know, focusing on what can be controlled. We can't control that. We've got 10% of control in this situation, team, but this is what we're going to do with that 10%. Or what ideas do others of you have for what we can do with that 10%? Get them involved in creating solutions. Celebrating small wins is really important. When we're climbing a mountain, Yoma, you're starting a new business, right? That's a lot. So really encourage you and others, when you're climbing a mountain, and it can feel like we're climbing a mountain, sometimes you have to turn around and look back and see how far you've come and feel good about it, right? So celebrate those small wins. And then share your vision of the future as much as you can, as much as you know it. You know, so for Jackie, for your cake, you know, this is maybe the direction that we're going to need to go. Or for the masks, you know, this is the future, maybe just for the next 6 months, but this is the vision that I have, and share that with your employees. So just a few ideas as leaders, how you can build resilience and keep your employees engaged and focused. So we're almost out of time. We have a couple more minutes if there's any other ideas or discussion, but Denora, I don't know if you have some closing that we need to finish right at 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's fine. I think at this point we want to thank you, because we respect all of everybody's time, and everybody for being here today, and for this wonderful presentation, Rebecca. It's amazing, especially when you are a woman and you're dealing with change, not only in your personal but also professional life. It's difficult to keep up. It's difficult to set some boundaries and take care of ourselves and be hopeful for the future. I think it's important to be reminded that we still are going through this process, and have these tools and this advice is very, very helpful. So we thank you for the presentation and your time. And I also want to mention to everybody from the DreamCatcher program that we are collecting information from you ladies. We send out a survey that is important for us, because we want to know how you're doing with your business. We want to know if after the program that you see some growth, if you actually have like more employees, and we want to measure the impact that the program had in your life and in your communities. And it's not only important to kind of like to reconnect with you, but also to know and just to show to our sponsors that this is important, that the work that we're doing is important not only for you, but also for all the other women out there, that they still need the program, that we still need to train, that we need to spread the word about DreamCatcher, and hopefully in the future we can host another program like we did it with you guys. But please just take some time to answer the survey. I'll send it to you by email. If you don't have it, I'm going to share it right now in the chat. It won't take too long. It's only, I think it's 11 questions. And sorry, that's not it. That's the Zoom. But yeah, please take some time to answer the survey. That's the survey. And I want to thank you everybody for being here today. And I want to thank Rebecca, and we hopefully can have you as a host, maybe when we're hosting again another DreamCatcher.
I would love to. Thank you so much, everybody. Good luck. Hang in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.